If you're not an avid viewer of the National Football League, let this be an introduction to the most memorable team around, the Detroit Lions. Did you know that until 2023-24 season, the Detroit Lions had won only one playoff game since 1957? You would know that if you're an NFL fan, but if you didn't, that's a little history for you. They endured the NFL's first ever 0-16 winless season in 2008. But in the franchise's recent success has rewritten that the long history of heartbreak, proving that sometimes the most dramatic stories are about the struggle to get back on top. In the entire history of the Super Bowl era, which began in 1967, only one original NFL franchise has never made its appearance to the Super Bowl, and that's the Detroit Lions. Despite this unique historical gap, the recent run to the NFC Championship game shows a team determined to shed that title. I've been a Detroit Lions fan for as long as I can remember. It all started when a little bit of friendly rivalry with my dad's favorite team, the Chicago Bears. Since they're in the same division as the Lions, although initial struggles paused their success initially, they became a louder household name in the NFL. Through it all, the Detroit Lions franchise has shown that they are a team of resilience, historical dominance, and long lasting loyalty, including the fans. Here's some early success stories for you. Detroit's Historical Society keeps track of the city's hustle and bustle, including the Detroit Lions. If you know a bit about NFL's early days, you'll realize that there's a lot of today's teams weren't around back in the 1920s. The Lions started out as the Portsmouth Spartans, based in Ohio. Yeah, it's a weird name, but luckily they rebranded back to the Detroit Lions into the Detroit Lions in 1934. The team moved from Detroit in 1934, where they played the University of Detroit Stadium. For over the years, they used Tiger Stadium, home of the Detroit Tigers baseball team, and since 2002, Ford Field, as a championships for Ford Field, hasn't posted any Super Bowls for the Lions to host, unfortunately. But the Lions have won four NFC championships. They beat New York Giants in 1935 and took down the Cleveland Browns in 1952, 53, and 57. However, the team struggled since the last championship, only winning a couple of playoff games since then, which occurred in 1991 and 2023. That's all before Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell took over as the coach of the Lions before they were all over the place, unstable, struggling to find consistent success with some pretty bad records, including a season without a single win. They couldn't quite build a winning vibe either. Coaches kept changing a lot, including Rob Marinelli, who was in the coach from 2006 to 2008. The era included the famous 0-6 season, which got the team the new nickname, the first winless season in the NFL since they started playing a 16-game season. Even though coaches like Jim Caldwell and Wayne Fontes got the team to the playoffs, they never managed to win a playoff game. The last time the team won a playoff game was in '91. That's before Dan Campbell took over. The immediate regime before Dan Campbell led the coach Matt Patricia to general manager Bob Quinn, which particularly was problematic. Frequent bad coaching hires were really a sign of bigger issues with the general manager and ownership. Basically, there weren't enough good players, and the team always felt like they were stuck in a losing streak. According to the NFL's operations history, the Ford family, who owns the Lions, made a bunch of mistakes. For over 55 years, people saw the team as more of a playground for owners, which led to hiring the wrong staff and refusing to cut ties that were just making things worse. Especially for the fans who joked around saying sell the team, which me included, because all of the dumb moves and poor management. But since Sheila Ford took over and the Lions have been making moves we haven't seen since the 50s. So Dan Campbell, as the head coach now, has really fired up the fans, including me, players, and owners. His magic comes from bringing in fresh coaching, gives a new life to the team that's been overlooked for years. The Lions have made big strides turning into a real Super Bowl contender by building the culture and hard work and fierce competition. Some recent highlights included smashing the franchise record with 15 wins, making a serious run in the playoffs, and snagging multiple playoff spots over the past few seasons. Really showed they're not to be messed with. Campbell's bold coaching, like going for it on fourth down, showed true grit and focus on through effort have been huge parts of this turnaround, as he talked in his interviews on the Detroit News. Their latest NFL North titles in 2023-2024, along with making the NFC Championship games back in 2023 2023 against the 49ers really showcased the hard work and star players. Some of the most legendary players like Bobby Lane, the team star quarterback who led Detroit to 3 of their 4 national NFC championships. Earl Clark, the very first quarterback in team history, guided them in 1935 to the 1935 national championship. Doak Walker from the 50 to 55 set countless of records of both running back and kicker. Dual player. One of my favorite personal favorites, Barry Sanders, one of the greatest to ever do it, played from 89 to 1998 and broke numerous rushing records of both the team and the league. Another favorite of mine, of course, Megatron Calvin Johnson, who played from 2007 to 2015, set a record for the most receiving yards in a single season. While recent highlights have centered around making progress in the playoffs, one really special and long-standing tradition for the team, which is my personal favorite, is playing on Thanksgiving Day each year. This cherished custom was started by their first owner, George A. Richards, who also owned a local radio station in Detroit. Richards created the Thanksgiving game as a fun way to bring more fans to the Lions games, including on the tradition that earlier NFL teams in the city had started. It's a wonderful part of the team's history and continues to bring fans, including myself, together every holiday. In conclusion, despite having some rough patches over the years, the Lions have stuck it out season after season. Their deep loyalty and their fans have helped write and comeback story filled with hope, resilience, and fighting spirit. The history has taught them lessons that turned a struggling franchise into a now proud, resilient, and bleeds blue. I personally think that this team is going to be great this year. They're already a playoff contender, and I hope to see them in the Super Bowl. Thank you very much.